you guys, it's Karen and I'm here to do my 2021 favourites. Happy New Year, by the way. Yeah, I'm a bit late with these, but hopefully you won't mind too much. I'm going to start with skincare, and with skincare I didn't do it in kind of the order I put anything on or anything like that. I just picked out the things that were favourites of mine over the year. But what I also did was I had a look at what I chose last year so that I can tell you what I think of that now and if it's still a favourite. So I am going to start with cleanser, and there are some similarities, a lot of similarities. So last year, one of the items was the low viscosity cleaning Ester, and this is still a favourite. This is still something I love. You guys know this, I talk about this a lot. It is from NIOD, and this is one where you just put it on your cotton pad, your reusable cotton pad, and it just takes everything off so easy. I haven't found anything quite as easy as that. In terms of some of the other products I'm going to mention do work as well, but you have to shake them. And this is just like tip it on, use it, and it's done. So I do love that, but it is expensive. Also last year, the Q&A peppermint cleansing wash was a favourite. That is still a favourite. I think I talked about it in the last empties. Certainly I've recently used it up, and I think I said as soon as I see it in Boots I will buy another one for sure. I haven't been in Boots since and I haven't seen it, but yeah, I would definitely repurchase that. So that's still a favourite. It's a clear sort of cleansing gel that you use with water, and it has got a peppermint scent to it. So if you've got sensitive skin, then obviously that's something you want to be aware of. But because it's a rinse off product, my skin is absolutely fine with peppermint, and I kind of learnt that from always putting it on my head with migraines. But I just love it, and I find the scent really, I don't know whether I'd call it relaxing, but I really enjoy it, and so it's a really nice product to use, and it never leaves my skin tight, which I'm surprised at. With it being a gel, it's not like a moisturising face wash, but it doesn't ever leave my skin feeling tight, so I use that as a second cleanser. Another product I talked about as a favourite cleanser last year was the Body Shop Chamomile Cleansing Oil. This is the new version. It used to come in a bit of a bigger bottle with a pump on it. I think it was a bit of a bigger bottle, and it was a kind of yellowy colour. You can see this is clear, and I did love that as a cleansing oil to use in the shower and bath, but they don't do it anymore. They've changed it to this. Now, this you can use with water. I actually prefer using this like the low viscosity cleaning Ester, just on its own. I have tried it with water, and it's just not quite the same as the old one. Now, the reason they've changed it is they've taken the palm oil out, or most of the palm oil out, which is a good thing, but it doesn't feel quite the same as the old one. So I wouldn't say that this is currently a favourite. The other thing I mentioned last year was the Inkey Oil and Water Double Cleanser, and that is still absolutely a favourite. I don't have any at the moment, but it is something that I would buy happily, buy and use happily. It's a dual phase one. You have to shake it. It's got sea buckthorn in it, which I love, sea buckthorn oil. So you shake it and take all your makeup off, and like I was saying, it is as good as this one in that it takes everything off. It's just that you have to shake it. There's that one extra step, but I do really love that still. And I also mentioned makeup removing cloths. This is just an inexpensive one. I don't know whether I got this from Amazon or Superdrug. That's the two places I've bought these kind of makeup cloths. I suppose I've bought a couple of the little mini face cloths from Boots, but these are just so easy, but I think I still prefer using some kind of cleanser with them rather than just the cloth on their own. But the cloth on their own does work for my face makeup. It doesn't work for my eye makeup. I would have mentioned the Superdrug Stubborn makeup remover, but can see that they don't do it anymore. This is typical, you just find a product that you love and they don't do it anymore, and I feel like that's happening a lot. And it was the kind of least expensive oil and water combination one that I'd found that really worked very well, but like I said, they don't seem to be doing that anymore. So that's it for cleansers. Then onto, I've called this a toner, but you guys know I kind of use it as a cleanser as well. It's micellar waters. You guys know I've loved micellar waters for years. I've used them for years now. I've used all different types of ones. My absolute favourite is the Ester cucumbers, just because of the scent, to be honest. It's exactly the same as this, but this one doesn't have any scent. I do also like the Belly one from Amazon, but this is the one I used the most. So this is the B Pure, I think it is, B Pure Micellar Water from Superdrug. So inexpensive, but so effective. I use this in the evening. I'll use it after I've taken off my makeup to remove any residue from the makeup remover, to remove any final bits of makeup. And then in the morning, it's the only thing I use before doing everything else, doing moisturiser and SPF and all of that kind of stuff. And I love using that. So I love the Superdrug one, but I also, my favourite is the Ester Cucumbers one. Okay, on to SPF. Last year, my favourite was the Australian Gold, which I know is the favourite for a lot of you. When this was first recommended to me and I first bought it and mentioned it, a lot of you were saying that it made your skin feel a bit cakey, it was a bit too thick for you, you didn't like it under makeup. And I didn't find that at all. I felt that it sat really well under makeup. But there were a few occasions over this last year that I was like, you know what, this is feeling cakey to me now. So obviously my skin has changed in some way that's giving me that feeling from it. But the more alarming thing to me was I was getting really freckly and red cheeks and whatnot when I went out in the sun and I was wearing that. So it wasn't working for me. Whether or not it was just too old or something like that, you know, whether it had expired, I don't know, but it didn't work for me well as an SPF. So I have two favourites to talk about. The first one is the BYBI Day Defense. This is the SPF 30. I think I've done a standalone video on this, but I certainly have mentioned it in videos before. I love this, and I don't think there's anybody that won't like this because it kind of covers everything. You know, it's vegan, it's fragrance free. Like I said, I've done a whole video talking about it, but it is really, really nice to use. It's moisturising and I love that. But the one that I'm absolutely obsessed with at the moment, now it is recent, so I sometimes avoid putting things in that are recent favourites because I think I know myself and I know that I can love something and then by the end of it go, you know what, I'm actually not that fussed for it. But this one is the Amil C Whip SPF 30 from Face Theory. And normally when I get a new product, even if if I was in the middle of using this, I would stop using this and just try this for a few days or a week or something and see what I thought. So that's what I did with this. I would normally then go back to using what I was using already to finish it up and then go back to this at a later date. But hopefully you can see I have used half a jar there. And that's why I was saying that you might be surprised. Did I say that? I thought it anyway. I thought you might be surprised because it's a jar. And I'm not into jars at all. I prefer things in a tube. But that's how much I've been enjoying that. And I've been using it with my little NIOD spoon. So I just use the back of it, scrape some out, pop it on my face and neck and rub it in, and then I clean this with a cotton wool and micellar water. It's not particularly antibacterial, but I've got this kind of sticking out of a little purse in my makeup bag or skincare bag, you know, but I just love this. It's just everything I want. It's a modern filter, it's not a mineral sunscreen, but it's really, really moisturising. So it feels like you're moisturising your skin, but it doesn't feel in any way greasy. It sits really well under makeup on me. Like I said, it moisturises. You can choose to have it fragrance free or with fragrance. It's just lovely. I absolutely love it. And because it's so thick, it did say you don't need to put too much on, but it is lasting pretty well, I think, because I put quite a lot on. You know, I feel like I'm kind of loading my face and neck up. I'm using it on my face and neck and I'm about halfway down. So I think this is one I'll definitely repurchase, but this has been a favourite since I bought it. I've used nothing else. Okay, let's talk about night creams. So what did I talk about last year? Last year was the Indeed Labs Hydraluron Jelly. That I would say is still a favourite, but I haven't actually used it. I think I've bought maybe one tub of it in the last year because I've been trying lots of other things, and it is quite expensive. It's one of those that it's £24.99, so it's not uber expensive. But what I mean is it's £24.99. It doesn't ever seem to last very long. Like, it doesn't even last me, it maybe lasts me 3 weeks. It just seems to run out really, really quickly, you know. But it is one that I do love and I would definitely buy if I see it and I was looking for a night cream. If I run out of things to try, I would probably turn to that one. I do really enjoy that one. So that's what I said last year. And I also said the Boots Hyaluronic Acid Moisturiser, the Boots ingredients range. So I wanted to show you this little tube because this is the exact tube it comes in. This is actually the multibiotic moisturiser. It's a new one, but it's in the exact same tube. And I do still love it. I have actually been looking for it in Boots and haven't found it. And that's how I found this one, this multibiotic one. And I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to try this. This is actually quite nice, but it's a lot thicker, a lot thicker than the other one, which in some ways is good because this doesn't run out as quickly. I feel like I've been using this quite a lot and it hasn't run out. but the hyaluronic acid moisturizer, these are both a £5, and so it's a really good price, but the other one just feels like it's so liquidy. I feel like, you know, it lasts me 3 or 4 times. It's but this one is lasting really well, and I do really like this. So this one, who knows, might replace it, but I've not been using this long enough to make a decision. But I do love moisturizers in that range. So I do still love those, but this is what I nominated as my favorite for this year because I've used this a lot over the last year. It's the Ordinary Natural Moisturizing Factors plus Hyaluronic Acid. This is just a nice straightforward cream, and it's so ironic because I didn't used to like it. And I think maybe the reason I like it is because I use a lot of actives and serums and things like that, and I just always wanted something quite simple and quite inexpensive to sort of seal everything in, you know, and not make my skin feel tight, but it didn't necessarily need to have anything else in it. And so this kind of does everything that I need it to, you know. My skin doesn't feel tight, it seals whatever I've used in, it does everything I need it to. So, and it's a good price, so I really like that. And as you can see, I've got the kind of jumbo sized tube. And I do have to, of course, give a mention to my hydration vaccine, which is upside down because I'm nearly out of it. I absolutely love this. This is by NIOD. I use it with the spoon, or I kind of tap it out onto my hand. But I talked about this when I got sent those products from NIOD, and I just love it. There's nothing else that makes my skin feel like this, putting it on. It's such a pleasure to use. I should maybe do a video on things that I find a pleasure to use, which are like the peppermint cleanser and this. It just, you know, products like this or the natural moisturising factors do what I need them to do. They feel nice enough, they're fine. But these other products like this just feel really, really luxurious, you know. So I really love the hydration vaccine. It's just beautiful. Your skin just feels so beautifully soft. Actually, there's one other product. Good Lord, I'm going to have a lot of links to write in this description. There's one other product that I did fall in love with this year, but I just don't like the price because it's the little capsules from No7. Do you remember? I'll put a picture in of the ones that I bought and just loved. And I specifically went and bought them when there was an offer on, I think it was a 3 for 2 or something like that, to take on holiday with me. That's how much I enjoyed using them. The product feels beautiful. And if it was in a tube and it was more than, I think it totals about 8 grams in these little capsules, you know, but if it's something that came in a tube, I would be purchasing that for sure because it just felt so lovely on the skin. Kind of does feel like the hydration vaccine, but not quite as moisturising, but more sort of mattifying. I don't know, it felt lovely. They felt lovely. Okay, on to actives. I haven't used as many actives, I don't think, over this last year because I haven't been quite so focused on using retinol or tretinoin or anything like that. You know, that boat has kind of sailed for me. Who knows if I'll ever decide to try it again. But what I did like was the Geek and Gorgeous Retinal, and in fact I would say that Geek and Gorgeous is a really good find this year. I don't think I knew about them last year, and I have loved every product I've tried from them. So, whoops, I've used, I think, about 3 bottles of this. This is the A game. So this is the 0.1% Retinal serum. So this is Retinal. Retinal is an ingredient that I really like. This has not done anything bad to my skin at all. It's just a nice product to use. It's nothing. It's a yellow colour. There's still a bit left in this. I stopped using it because I was trying out other things, but I will definitely go back to using it. Yellow is the colour of Retinal, but it's a really nice feeling cream, but like I said, it's nice to be using an active like some kind of retinoid, which this is, and not getting any irritation on my skin at all. So I have really enjoyed that. I don't know if I could pinpoint anything that makes me think this is a great product for my skin and I'm seeing results. But when I was using this with the vitamin C and, you know, the other products here, my skin has felt good this year. I haven't had bad skin at all this year. You know, I haven't had loads of breakouts. I haven't had loads of I get sometimes little bumps from products. I haven't had any irritation. I don't feel like my skin is particularly aged. I think that my eyes have probably aged, but I don't feel like my skin has necessarily aged. That might be just because of the weight gain, because that definitely plumps out my face. I'll tell you guys something funny. I don't know how to respond to these kind of comments. I suppose you don't respond, you just delete them and block them. But somebody actually left me a comment saying that I was being, what's the word, deceitful. being deceitful, it was, I don't know if it was on the Care Lamp or it was a before and after video anyway. And what she was saying was that and it was in the last year or so, she was saying that I clearly had fillers in my cheeks and in these nose to mouth lines. And so why wasn't I just being honest? And you just read that and think, like, how do you defend that if somebody thinks that? Like, I definitely have never had filler in my cheeks ever. I would never need filler in my cheeks because when I put weight on, my face gets even rounder, and I've got quite a round face anyway, you know. I did have filler in my nose to mouth lines before I even started YouTube, so like 10 years ago, and I hated how it looked because it actually filled it out here and I looked like a little chipmunk, and so I've never had that done before since. But anyway, I thought I would share that with you. But yes, I think that my skin felt great. I'll tell you about the other Geek and Gorgeous product while we're on the subject, is the Sea Glow. While I was using the Retinal and the Sea Glow together, and this was kind of the only actives I was using for a while, my skin did feel really good. I did feel like there was a difference in my skin. And actually I stopped using this for a while and felt that my skin went a little bit downhill, and then started again and felt like it was much better. So it may be down to the sea. But the two of those together certainly were a good combination. The Sea Glow, this is a vitamin C that is nice enough to use. It's a nice serum. It's not anything, you know, it's not one of those where I'm like, oh, this feels amazing. It's just that it is a really good price. It is a really good formula. You know, it is ascorbic acid, but it doesn't sting. It doesn't mess up my skin. And it's a really good price. So I've really, really enjoyed Geek and Gorgeous products, but particularly those two. The other two that have been kind of consistent favourites throughout the year are the Lactic Acid by The Ordinary. This is the 10%. I still really, really enjoy this. And I don't use this all the time. This is something that I can use as and when needed. So I use this if my skin is at all flaky. This works really, really well. If I had any sort of dry, flaky patches, I would use this. Or if my skin is just really dry, this does help. Or if my skin is just feeling really dull, I feel like this does a really good job of just sort of, you know, exfoliating and bringing some plumpness back to it. And I've loved this for many, many years, and I really still enjoy that lactic acid. I also use this lactic acid 10% on my eyes when preparing to do a TCA peel, and it works really well for that as well. And the other one, this is my reserve bottle, but this is the matrixyl. This is a surprise favourite actually, because I was never really that into peptides. But this is a matrixyl 10% plus hyaluronic acid, and I just find this a nice product to use, and I like that it's at one concentrated peptide. I've tried quite a few of the different ones. You know, I've tried the buffet. I've tried the buffet with copper. I've tried the copper amino isolate serum, and this is still my favourite, just the plain old matrixyl. It feels nicer. This one to me feels nicer than the buffet. It just feels a bit more sort of silky, and I feel like my skin feels nicer when I use this. I forgot to mention there the actives from last year. The only active I talked about last year was the ethylated vitamin C by Hylamide. I do still love that. I love how it feels because it feels oily. It feels ever so slightly warming. I really, really enjoy that. But as I said, I did just notice that my skin felt different when using the Geek and Gorgeous vitamin C, which is why the ethylated vitamin C is still a favourite, and I will absolutely use it again. But this just pipped the other one to the post this year. The only other product to tell you about is oils, and I don't feel like I've used, well, I know I haven't used oils much at all in this last year, which I feel like means that my skin is in pretty good nick. You know, it hasn't needed, it's not too dry. It might be a bit dehydrated and feel a bit tight sometimes, but it hasn't been too dry at all, because that's when I kind of knock out the oils. I don't like using oils too much because it tends to make my hair greasy, and I want to, you know, don't want to have to tie my hair back, and I don't want to have to wash my hair constantly. But when I have wanted to use an oil, it's this one. It's the Borage oil from The Ordinary. I would say this is probably my #1 favourite. It's my #1 favourite because it's lovely and thick. It really feels nourishing, you know, but it doesn't feel too oily. You'll have heard me mention before, but I don't like the marula oil from The Ordinary. That one feels to me like it's clogging up my skin. This one doesn't. It just feels like it's doing what it needs to do. I do also love the sea buckthorn. Probably I prefer the feeling I get from the sea buckthorn oil, in that I'll put it on, my skin feels amazing when I put it on. It feels amazing in the morning, but the colour is just a big problem. It's bright orange and it gets on everything. So that's why this one is kind of my #1 favourite. If the sea buckthorn oil could feel the way it does, and, you know, make my skin feel the way it does without the orange in it, that would be great, but it's not possible. And even if you mix it with like moisturiser or whatever, it doesn't quite feel the same, but it still stains. So the borage oil from the Ordinary. So I have one final product to talk to you about, and somebody had, you know how I asked you guys, you know, what do you want from these favourites? And most of you were just like, tell me what your favourites are. It doesn't matter if they're new, tell me what you've been using most, tell me in each category, etc. But somebody asked the question, what has made the biggest difference to your skin? And I thought that was a really interesting question. And it's sometimes a worrying question for me, because I think, I don't know that I can ever pinpoint skincare and say that's made the biggest difference. I think it's a combination of skincare and lifestyle, you know, drinking enough water and all of that. Exercising, I think, even helps your skin, and staying out of the sunlight, all that kind of thing. So I mean, I would say SPF is the number one thing that will protect you from aging. But the biggest difference to my skin, the first thing I thought of was this. It is my care lamp. Now, you guys know I have been using infrared light in different ways. So I have got the Current Body face mask, which I haven't used much this year. It's been a difficult year with migraines, so I haven't been as vigilant about using gadgets and things like that for anti-aging and for skin. But this lamp I have used quite a few times, because it is great for health as well as beauty, if you like. And it's just, I love the fact that it's a combination of those two things. But not only that, whenever I use this, I immediately feel like my skin has got a healthy glow. And I find the experience really relaxing, because there is a little bit of heat comes from here, not a lot, but there is a little bit of heat. I have been using this for so much. I've used it on my knee, I've used it on my back, I've used it on Watson's leg when he was limping, I used it on his wound. I'm sure it helped it. I used it on his toe. He had a little kind of abscess and it just disappeared. I've used this on so many things. But skin wise, what I would say has made the biggest difference is when I use this, I just feel like it really does something to give my skin a healthy glow. So I love that. Like I said, I do like the Current Body, is that it? Yeah, Current Body LED mask that you actually sit on, and that one's a much easier to use, you know, because this one you have to come away and sit in a dark room, or I do anyway, because my husband doesn't like the light, you know, so I have to go away and sit in front of this for 10 minutes versus just strapping that other one on and watching TV. I'll link both of them for you, but I really do love that care lamp. And actually I noticed, I went to have a look, I've been making sure that everything's still available for you guys, because often I'll talk about things and then find out that they don't exist anymore. But I had a look at the Care Lamp's website and I see that they've got a new advanced care lamp. It's kind of in a darker colour than that, but I think there's just more power to it, so that's really quite exciting. I'm tempted to buy one, I really am. And if I had to choose one product that had made a difference to my skin, it would be the Geek and Gorgeous Vitamin C. So I would say give it a go. They're really inexpensive, they're really good, you know, they deliver really quickly, even though they're in, I think they might be in Hungary or something like that. Really nice products and really reasonable priced, so give it a go. I've kind of lost track about whether I talked about loads of products or just a few in this video, but I think probably more, because I was speaking about last year's as well and telling you what I think, but I thought that that would be useful. I think I mentioned the care lamp in last year's video as well. So yeah, that's everything. Let me tell you what I'm wearing makeup wise. I have got on the IT Cosmetics Your Skin But Better foundation. I can't remember the colour, I think it might be 22. On my eyes is just the Charlotte Tilbury Super Nudes palette. And on my lips is the Sleek liquid lipstick in Birthday Suit, and the cheeks is Flower Beauty, and it's in peach something. Peach, can't think, peach something. I'll put all the details in the description anyway. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon.